Hello and welcome to the AMI podcast. I'm your host, Bud Evans. Today I'm joined by Darcy Marler. He's a seasoned real estate investor with over 2 decades of experience. Darcy has a rich background in residential real estate, including long-term rentals, flips, and condo developments. Currently, his focus is on maximizing land potential through new construction and land development. Join us as we dive into the intricacies of land development and learn from Darcy's extensive experience and how he built a horse track and casino, where we provide real estate investors with the tools to achieve generational wealth. Let's AMI together. This is episode 84. Hello and welcome to the AMI podcast. I'm your host, Bud Evans. I'm here with Darcy Marler. Hi, Darcy. How are you today?
I'm doing excellent, Bud. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Listen, I have the distinct pleasure of having read your bio, and you are in an area that I have been looking at for quite some time. Can you give me a quick introduction?
Sure. So I've been being a real estate investor for 23 years now, and I've done everything in the residential space: long-term, short-term rentals, flip spurs, condo developments, all that condo conversions, all that kind of stuff. But I focus now on long-term, I like fixing land up and getting the most value out of land. So new construction, land development, that kind of stuff. In the past 23 years, I've had around 1,000 tenants in my apartments. I've sold all my rentals. I never liked that journey, so I like this journey much better. I've written some books. I've got a course. So yeah, I've done a bunch of stuff in over 20 years.
Okay, I know the new sexy is, I know guys like Chris Crone are doing these build up side by side duplex, just buying the land and then building it up. How did you get into this?
So I was an IT guy way back in the late 90s, and I got bored of that. So I said I'd always wanted to get into real estate. So I started doing some flipping in that way back, 2001. So a long time ago. I got one old house, 1950s, that I was going to flip. And just by chance, the person next to me passed away. So I bought the next house off the estate. And I said, you know what? I always wanted to build. So I actually moved both those houses off and ended up building 4 new houses. And I've been doing it off and on since then.
Okay. Well, explain to me, if you wouldn't mind, exactly what land development is, because I know it's not just one thing. I know there's multiple different facets of it.
Yeah. So I think if you say land development or development to most people, I think they automatically just assume the big companies it's out on the outskirts of town. We're going to buy a few hundred acres and put in a few thousand tract homes over the next
Yeah.
10 years. We can do it as like smaller investors can get into this too, because we can bring it down to our level, which is just a regular city lot. So, for example, we can do paperwork only entitlement strategies. So, we're not even actually doing any work on site. We're just improving the value of the land by changing zoning and density and selling that. Or, for example, let's say there's an old house on a 50-foot lot. We
Mhm.
can change the zoning and density to allow a fourplex to be built, or the side by side duplex you were just talking about. Sell that for profit to another builder, another investor. They can go do the building. Or we can have our architect design the fourplex, get the building permit approved. Now I've got a shovel ready package that I can sell to somebody else. I can potentially knock on the neighbor's door and buy that one too. So like I did. So now I got 100 feet instead of 250s. I got 100. What do you do with that? You can potentially change the zoning density to allow a small apartment building, side by side townhouses. You can do things like that. You can also do some land severance. Now that I got the 100 feet, I can chop that up into 333s or 425s or 520s. And I can, again, do the paperwork only to get the building approved, the apartment or the townhouses approved. If you want to get actually dirty and start to do some work on land on that 50-foot site, I can split the lot in two, make sure both sides are serviced with utilities. And now I can sell service lots to a builder or 2 young families that want to build their own infills or semis, or I can go all the way through and knock down the house and build that fourplex myself if I want to. So land development is a whole bunch of stuff. And that's what I do is I specialize in opening people's minds that, yeah, it's not just a big company on the outskirts of town that we
Yeah,
can
it's
do
not
this.
not just buying a plot of dirt and then just building
Oh,
a house, right? There's a whole
yeah.
bunch of different things. And I was actually looking at what you do, and it's amazing the information. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. The
Let's
problem is, so I got my first book on real estate investing given to me way back when I was 15. So back in the early 80s, 42 years ago. And since I've been watching a real estate education since then, and all we're taught is how to take a building and fix it up and
Yeah.
either sell it or keep it as a rental. every once in a while, a new flavor comes up, rent to own or Airbnb,
Mhm.
but we're always taught the values in the building. We get rich by adding value to the building. We need a building. So what we're not taught is as our inventory of housing ages, more and more of the values in the land. So how do we increase the value of land? We don't know. We're not taught that, right? But there's a lot of opportunity for profit by knowing what to do with a vacant lot.
Mhm.
Most people, most investors out there, if they got a vacant lot, I don't know what to do with it because I need a building, right? I need to start with it. They'll tell it. Or even a tear down. Here's a secret. If you got a 1910 piece of crap that
Yeah.
is beyond repair, if you tear it down, now you get a vacant lot. So again, what can you do with the old buildings and vacant lot? So the great thing about that is you separate yourself from all the competition because all investors were all going after the same property, right? If you know what to do with the really old nasty stuff and the vacant lots, now it opens up a whole new possibility of things that you can do.
So what was your first one? Because I gotta know, how did you like get into this and automatically just get this thing
I
going?
did. So it was, I always say, God protects the innocent and the stupid. Then I don't know which one I was. But anyway, so like I said, I had the old house that I was just going to flip because I was flipping back in the day and the person next to me passed away. This is an opportunity. Like I said, I always wanted to try to build new. I didn't know anything about it. I'd never, you know, come from a family of farmers. So we didn't know anything about this stuff. But yeah, whatever. So this is 2003, 2004. There's no books out there. There's no podcasts. There's no YouTube videos to watch. So you just skin your teeth, you up and do it. So a funny story. I got the quote to tear down the two old houses. One day a guy walks up to me and says, I'll buy those off you. What do you mean? He said, no, I'll buy them and I'll move them off because I can use them somewhere else. I'll pay you $4,000 each. So the quote was $8,000 total to tear them down. So that's a $16,000 positive swing in my
Yeah.
favor. That of spending eight, I'm going to make eight. This is the greatest thing in the world. Day comes, he organizes everything. The house movers come, they take them down. It's a fascinating thing to watch that. Anyway, at the end of the day, the owner of the house moving company approaches me and he says, Darcy, I paid 15 grand each for those houses. The guy that approached you, all he does is every week he goes down to City Hall, pulls the demolition applications, talks to people like you, buys it from you for 4 grand, sells it to me for 15. So next time, avoid the middle guy. So anyway, so I moved them off. I split those two lots into four. I made sure all four lots had the utilities, water, sewer, storm, that kind of stuff. And then I built corner houses. So all in, it was probably 10 months, 11 months to from cradle to grave there. And like I said, I've never done anything. So this is definitely doable for kind of people just starting out. It's not as hard as we think.
I just gotta ask, how did you learn it like on the fly, just like that? What did you do?
I just, I had a realtor that had done some building and I wouldn't even say he was a real mentor. Okay, what do I do now? Go do this and this. And then I go do that and that. And then I come back right now, like, okay, do this and this. So it was really just skinning your teeth learning and figuring out. So that's why what I do now is I help people learn from me instead of wasting all those hours and potentially losing money and whatever. You can learn from me and my mistakes. And
The flexibility to do something like that is impressive. What went wrong? Give me an idea of a project that it didn't work out this well.
so again, even that one. So it's 2004 in that area, and I'm selling on spec, which means I don't want the owner or the potential buyer to come in and we're not going to build based on what he wants. I'm going to build a house and then I'm going to sell it. And I like that style because then you don't get the crazy new seller wanting to change everything and let's move that wall. Here's what I'm going to build. Anyway, but to do that, you have to attach to the offer to purchase the exact blueprints and then the specs of what you're going to do. So this is the size of the pipe and here's how thick the concrete in the basement is going to be, for example. So I went online and there was a guy 3 blocks away that was doing something similar. So I just cut and paste his blueprint, not his blueprint, but his building material list and how he was going to do things. I put that on my website and I attached it. I modified it. The trouble is I didn't know the difference between regular old fashioned stucco and California stucco. The harder or the more finer finished stucco, right? The difference ended up being on 4 buildings, 4 houses and 4 detached garages. The difference in cost was about 40 grand. But once it's part of the contract with the new people, oh, you got to do it, right? So it was a $40,000 mistake just for not knowing the difference between A and B. And the trick is you can make mistakes, and as long as you're learning from them and don't make the same mistakes twice, that's the.
What was the recovery like on that?
So I made money, but not obviously 40 grand less than I thought I would. But yeah, it was. Anyway, look, it ended up looking really much better, and the quality was that. And then on my next project, I did a 7 acres, 36 unit villa project for the 50 plus crowd, bungalow duplexes side by side. I had
Okay.
7 acres of raw land, and I did the land development and moved the dirt around and built the road and put the pipe in the ground and all this stuff. Well, I was able to then, one of the couples that had bought one of the new 4 houses that I'd built, I got real close to them. So they let me use the house on occasion for open houses. So now I was able to sell these new people going into the villas on the quality of this is the quality of what I do. And the $40,000 may have been a mistake on that one, but it probably made me more sales down the road because it looked nicer than probably would have been the other way. So you learn, you grow and you learn.
If I wanted to get involved in something like this, how would I start developing land?
So basically, you need to learn some stuff, as I say, because most of us come into this world from the flip and the reno, long-term rental world. So we're focused on that house. Okay, what is zoning and density? What is usage? What is highest and best use? We hear this term all the time. What does that mean? How do I increase the value of land? So you got to learn some basics. And then probably what's more important in this world than flips or rentals is geography, because we got to go to city hall and we got to get the permits, and maybe we change zoning and density. Like I said, some places that's 2 months, no problem. Boom, it's in. The other places are 2 years, and everything in between. More so in this world than just going out, let's go on MLS and find a sixplex to buy, a 1956 plex. I got to care more about geography. Because the different municipalities can be so much different, but also I'm adding units. If you think about what we've been doing for 40 years, I take an old house and I fix it up. 1 unit before, 1 unit after. Even if I tore down the old building and built a new house, it was 1 before, 1 after. In this world, I'm buying 10 acres and I'm going to put in 30 lots, or I'm tearing down 1 old house and I'm building a 6plex. So you've got to be in a place geographically where they need that kind of new volume, right? So where you got to look at demographics and where are people moving around the country. We're moving from California, New York, and Chicago down to Texas and Florida, and Tennessee, these kind of places. So there's a little bit of upfront education and knowledge that we got to figure out before we just dive in. Because I know as investors, we're all just want to go on MLS and find the next project. We gotta step back and learn a bit first. But after that, it's just multiple steps. If you assume that every building started as grass, you got to do all these things. Well, what I teach is all those steps. And again, the beginning, initial education, what we're going to do of all those potential strategies that we talked about earlier, just the paperwork stuff, or just creating service lots, or actually doing the building. What do you want to do? Because there's lots of multiple entry and exit points in this world, as opposed to flips and rentals, right? If I got a flip, I have to finish it. I can't half finish a flip, expect to make me money. I can't half finish a reno and expect a tenant to move in. Here, I can just, I can find land in this condition. I can add this kind of value. This is what I do. I put the pipe in the ground, or I get these permits or whatever, and then I sell to the next person. So a lot of flexibility here, a lot of exit strategies that aren't available in the other world. And this is how, again, normal, regular size investors can get into this world as well. You don't have to, geez, I'm going to have to buy 50 acres for, 2 million, and then you can just scale it down, and multiple entry strategies can get you along, and you can learn as you go.
Darcy, you and I both listen to these gurus who are like little to no money down. You can sub to and all the catchphrases and whatnot. So what does it take as far monetarily to get involved in land development?
So there are some strategies here that kind of work well with that. I'm going to give you a couple of ifs. So if you can, if you're just doing the paperwork only, so we're not actually physically doing any work on site. And then number two, if you can potentially partner with the seller.
Mhm.
Again, lots more opportunities to do that in this world than the other world. If you think about it in a flip or rental world, I'm buying a 1950s house, whatever. I need the seller to leave because I got to renovate his place to either sell it or keep it as a rental. Here, I want the seller to stay for those 5, 10 months, whatever it's going to take me to get the kind of the zoning and density changes that I need. If I do that, then I don't end up having to buy the property. The seller is my JV partner. So I teach like 11 different ways to potentially partner with the seller. So if you can just doing paperwork only, and if you can partner with the seller, and if you're in those areas where the municipality is easier to work with and the fees are lower, then again, you can get in for, let's say 25 to 100,000, depending on which part of the country and what the fees are. Because really all you need then is if I don't have to buy the house, all I'm basically paying for is my money's going for city fees and permits and some engineering, architecture, whatever, to get those permits approved that I need. If I do have to buy the house, then it's roughly the same price as flip or rental. The amount you pay for permits and architecture is roughly the same as what you're going to pay to renovate that place. And then if I'm going to actually go on and create lots and build, then obviously the price goes up from there, depending on what you're doing. But you can get into this with relatively low money if you can find those ifs.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I have to ask you though, because you're doing all this, but you bought horse track and a casino. You built them?
I built a horse track and casino. Yeah.
You got to go
So,
into that. And how did that happen?
so 20 years ago, horse tracks, most of them were built around 1940, right? So they're aging now. And so about 20 years ago, a group of investors said, you know what? A group of horse owners said, no, we need a new track. And they started down this road. And then the '08 recession hit and it got wiped out. So I was brought in to turn it around. I'm a bit of a turnaround expert and re-envision this place. And when I was brought in, we were basically in chapter 13, the restructuring. It's basically the court basically says freeze and none of your creditors,
Mhm.
they got to give you time to work out a turnaround. So I was brought in to re-envision this Taj Mahal that I call it and make it more cost effective, but also to get us out of credit protection. We were $108 million in debt when I became president of the company. And it wasn't an automatic turnaround, but I got us out of chapter 13 and I was able to partner with a company out of Austria that was actually a gaming company. I actually sold the land. We had a bunch of land. I sold the land and then leased it back to raise more money to do this. It took about 4 or 5 years, but eventually we got a track built and a casino built and there was horses running around the track and people putting quarters in slot machines. So it was a pretty cool story. So yeah,
What area was it?
I'm part owner of a horse track casino. There you go.
Where is this?
Actually, it's called Century Downs.
Oh, okay.
Actually, and yeah, it was. And the funny thing is I know all kinds of gambling and casino companies were interested because we had the license to build this casino. And there was a moratorium in the area, so nobody else could build casinos. So we were the only game in town. But everybody, Darcy, I don't want to make 10 million on the casino and then lose 5 on the horse track. So I was able to show them that no, you can make money on the horses as well. But everybody still thought my projections were too rosy. It turns out that we've actually exceeded my supposedly lofty projections. So it's running very well. It's doing really, really well. So,
That's outstanding.
yeah.
That's a great story, man.
So that's part of development. Development can be all kinds of stuff. So
Right. All right. I will ask you now, what is one thing you learned as your wealth increased?
I didn't enjoy most of my run in real estate. Like I said, had 1,000 tenants, 240 units.
Mhm.
I never liked the landlording bit, but that's what you're taught. Like I said, flips and rentals. And I was always my on-site supervisor for the condo conversions and the new construction and all this. So what I talk about now a lot is make sure we would force new people in the industry to pick what are you going to do? Flips or rentals? Come on. I got stuff to sell. Come on, pick one.
Right.
I encourage people, no, step back, investigate all the different strategies and which one is going to match you better, your personality, your likes, your strengths, your weaknesses. So in my case, I've tried everything, but I keep coming back to land development, new construction, this kind of stuff because I like new. I don't. I get. I call myself the king of nasty. Some of the before pictures of those 1910 pieces of crap were just disgusting. I've had stuff with hoarders and cat lady, and I had one building that had a fire 5 years ago, tons of mold. I had another building where there was mushrooms and grass growing on the carpet. So I just got tired of that. So for me, I like new. I like being creative. I like designing new stuff. Even with the land development, I love sitting down with the civil engineer and figuring out where the water is going to run when it rains. Like that's cool to me. I like it was always a downer for me to actually get the keys to the new place because the fun part for me was over. I didn't like the execution part. I like the beginning. I like the end. I like to sit back with pride and see what I've done, but I never liked the middle part. So I teach people now what's your strength? So maybe it's development, maybe it's not. Don't just go into this blind, figure out what you like. And because you can make money in all different ways in real estate, you might as well enjoy what you're doing while you're doing it.
Yeah, I'm dealing with a cat lady now. I keep swearing it's my number 104, and it's just went under contract, and
Yeah.
I keep saying this is my last flip, number 104, because it was disgusting. Now, I got to ask you, you've built a casino and a horse track. You've done land development. You've done flips. You've done rental properties. What's next?
So basically, I like I said, I like new. So bigger projects, I'm looking for land in Houston right now. Like actually do a 50-acre project. I've raised the money. I'm looking for land now. I don't want to do the housing. Like I'm not going to build houses.
Yeah.
I'll just put the utility pipes in the ground and sever the lots, the larger lot into smaller lots, build the road, and then sell that to builders. So I like in and out quick, right? Because people say, oh, land development's it's 5 years. Only if you want it to be, right? With these in and out quick strategies of paperwork only and entitlement, that can just be several months. Just doing the pipe in the ground and land, that's typically, let's call it 18 months to 20 months. So, it's only multiple years if you want it to be. If it's going to be a multiple year phase project and it's 100 acres. So you can, like I said, lots of opportunities for smaller investors to just get in on it quick without taking up all that time. And that's one of the big things for me now is how to delegate. Because I said I always had to be the person on site, the on-site supervisor. No, there's lots of people better than me at the physical building part. So let's delegate that. So it's more personal improvement. Let's get away from the stuff I don't like, delegate that stuff, focus on the stuff. Like I love the hunt. I love being creative and designing it. And then, okay, let's pass it off. I like putting the deal together. This fits my why and my strategy, my personal likes and dislikes. So it's all about learning how to focus or switch focus, switch tacks, and enjoy it more. So it's more of a personal, not a personal struggle, but a personal development thing that I'm trying to see if I can do it better and have more fun while I'm doing it.
Great. Are you scaled up and you on cruise control now? Or are you still like heavily involved in the operations?
I'm trying to not be that guy, right? Like I a bit of a control freak, bit of a guy that had to do everything himself, lone wolf guy. So I'm it, so yeah. So in terms of I've done big projects and so it's not so much growing there. It's growing in terms of being better, being a better me and enjoying it more and working with my strengths. Most of the self-help books for the last 40 years, we've been trying to improve our worser qualities, right? Let's improve this, where I'm coming over to the new strategy of let's double down on what you're good at and then let's delegate the other stuff. So again, it's more of personal growth is what I'm trying to do at this stage. And I encourage other people to do that too, right? If you're not enjoying the flips, then why are you doing it? If you're not enjoying the landlording, we'll assume that the property management company is going to take care of it. And for the most part, property managers suck, right? God bless them. So if you're not enjoying it, then maybe we figure some strategies and pivot.
That's why I started my own property management company, which now I'm regretting. It is right.
Yeah, it's fun. I've been there too.
Yeah.
And then finally I just said, no, I'm done. No more. I sold all my rentals. Because when you approach my age now, the next step is going from apartments and rentals. Now I'm supposed to have industrial rentals and commercial and all that. And that just, none of it appeals to me anymore. So let's stay away. Look at personal growth.
There you go. Speaking of growth, we're going to go into the soaring four. These are the same four questions that I ask every guest that can help someone who is just starting out achieve new heights. Question number one is, what keeps you motivated?
Trying to be better. Yeah. So like I said, I didn't like a lot of my 20-year journey. Like I was really depressed 2018, 2019. And I just had to step back. And as they say, if you're in the middle of a hole, stop digging. Okay, I'm not liking this. So my advice would be to figure out what your personality is and what you want to do, and then focus on it.
Is there one thing that you learned that completely changed your mindset?
You don't, I guess, more tools in the toolbox. So again, in the flip and rental world, I can do long-term, short-term rentals, Airbnb, rent to own. So you got 3 or 4 tools in the toolbox. With this new world of development, like I said, you've got all these entry and exit strategies. I can do this. I can just do paperwork. I can, create service lots. So giving yourself more options makes you a better investor and makes you more flexible when market downturns. You can get in and out quick better. You come up on a new potential property. Maybe flips or rentals are still the best option. I'm not saying that you'll never do that again, but now you've got 20 different things of I can potentially make money with this one, right? So it makes you much more powerful and flexible to learn more strategies.
What tools do you use to keep yourself on track?
I'm starting actually, again, more personal stuff. So meditating, I never used to meditate or do any of that stuff. So I've trying to focus more. Like I get bored and I did all these things, but now I'm trying to focus better. And I'm also I've taught myself, how a lot of us, if we're not busy, I got to do something. What am I going to do? Okay, I finished that. Okay, what's next? I'm trying to be okay with not being super busy all the time. And my days are a lot more relaxed and less stressed. So it's personal growth at my age. I'm getting
That's a
better.
good one. That's a good one. Yeah. Now, the last question is, if today you lost everything and had to start from scratch, what would you do to start over? Where would you start?
So basically, I've got all this experience. So I could basically be the gray haired expert at the table for younger people that want some weight at the table. I can do consulting. I can call up potentially. I know how to raise money now. So you can always start to do stuff. I know how to find stuff. So basically, the biggest thing I hear all the time is, Darcy, how do you find stuff? How do you fund it? I've been hearing that for 23 years now. You go to monthly meetups and weekend conferences. How do you find stuff? How do you fund it? And so once you learn that, you can start over anytime.
Darcy, I know that you are the guy for land development. So if somebody wanted to reach out to you about your mentorship program, how would they do that?
Yeah. So just my name, darcymarler.com, no spaces. Will take you to the landing page for the course. I've got a great online course that teaches all these different strategies, and you can look at that, the curriculum, some testimonials. And I did some students taking action videos for other students that are succeeding at this. That's a better place to start. I've got a YouTube channel as well. Just go to YouTube and type in Darcy Marler channel, and up will come 130 different videos on everything, new construction, land development, and all the different strategies we talked about.
Excellent. Hey, I appreciate your time. Have a great rest of your holiday.
No, you too. I had fun. I love these. As you can see, I'm passionate about this stuff. I love talking about it. So thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.